What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Joe Culpepper Outdoors. I'm Joe Culpepper, and today I'm going to talk about the importance of tuning your bow. And what I mean by tuning is mostly paper tuning, because that seems to be the best way to tune your bow from the shop. And the reason that I'm talking about this now is our deer season here in Georgia opens up in just a few days. And if your bow is not paper tuned or really tuned at all, consider you need to get that done. Okay, go get your bow tuned. If you can't get it tuned before season, consider waiting until you get it tuned to hunt, because what you don't want to happen is what I saw happen when I was testing this out. So the test arrow was a Victory Rip with Blazer vanes, and the bow was a Mathews V3X29. Now, the bow was paper tuned, and then I did some changing with my form, and it's shifted my impact point. I was not planning to hunt with that bow right now because I knew it needed to be tuned, but I decided to go shoot some broadheads and see what happened. So the broadhead was a G5 dead meat, so expandable broadhead. What I would say probably a fairly straight flying broadhead as far as compared with field points. On a properly tuned bow, I have shot them out to 80 yards with complete and total confidence that I could do that on an animal. So I know that when your bow is tuned properly, that these broadheads fly straight. So in shooting with the V3X29 and the Victory Rips, I noticed, now of course this is not the arrow, this is a different one, but when I shot at 20 yards, my arrow was already starting to wobble. And I knew that was bad, but my impact point was still pretty close to my field points. Close enough that if I was only going to shoot that bow 20 yards, there was no way I would ever shoot it past that. I would consider going ahead and taking that bow hunt because it was so close. The only problem is you bleed a lot of energy when your arrow is wobbling, because the back is wobbling, the front is wobbling as well, and your pass-throughs they're just not going to be as good. So I took and backed out to 50 yards and shot again. And what I noticed this time is my arrow with the broadhead would always hit somewhere kind of random. And one time it was just pushed way to the left. And the way I've got my target set up, I'm shooting at a Reinhardt moose target, the small moose, and it went right through the neck. Is that a fatal shot? Absolutely. That is absolutely fatal shot. But that's not where I was trying to hit him. I wanted to hit about 6 to 8 inches. I reckon it had probably more like 8 inches to the right of that. So if that had been a deer and he was not facing the same way, if he was facing the other way, that would have been in the back of the guts, and we'd have had a very hard time finding that deer. So I thought, well, maybe I should change the vanes that I'm shooting and see if that makes a difference with the tuning of the broadhead. So already know we're not hunting with the V3X29 until we get it properly tuned. So don't worry about that. My Mathews V331 is properly tuned, and it flies, or it sends these downrange like they're darts. So that's what I'm going to hunt with, at least until I get this other bow tuned. So on my target bow, I'm shooting Gold Tip Hunter XTs, and these have the Boning X vanes on here, 3-inch, And I thought maybe, just maybe, if I change up the vanes to a more forgiving vane, or at least what a lot of people say is more forgiving, maybe that will help with the flight of my arrow with the broadhead. The short answer is it does not. This does not fix an untuned bow. Now, all of these arrows are 6/1000 or 3/1000 straightness. These are all, I fletched all of these arrows. So could you go to a 1/1000 straightness and maybe see a little bit of a difference? Possibly, but it's not going to make so much of a difference that you don't need to tune your bow. You need to go get your bow tuned, and that means work on it at the cam. That doesn't mean move your rest, because if you move your rest, you're treating the symptoms, but not the sickness. You have to get to the problem, which is the cams. If your cams are in the wrong position when you're in full draw, your bow will never shoot straight. Now, you can move your rest and make it shoot straight, but it doesn't fix the problem. It puts a Band-Aid over it. So set your rest to 13/16 and then tune your bow at the wheels. And if there's just something you cannot get out at the cams, if you cannot get that tear out any other way, then you can move the rest. But that's the best way to tune your bow, because you want that arrow coming off straight. Because what happens when you take off that rest one day and you want to put a different one on to try, or whatever it is, and then you have to go through the whole process again, whereas if you had just tuned the bow, you wouldn't have to do that. So with all that being said, I hope that makes a case for you to go get your bow tuned if it is not already. And those of you guys that are ready for season, your bows are tuned. And of course, you guys that have done this a lot longer than I have, please drop some comments, some stories about when you found out that tuning was so important. Whether it was you lost an animal because of it, or maybe you almost lost an animal. Whatever it is, please share your stories and your feelings in the comments. And I just hope somebody watches this and says, you know what, I need to go get my bow tuned. And that I hope that it makes an impact on your season for the better. So everybody, stay safe, stay in the outdoors. God bless you, and I'll catch you on the next one.